my guy Colin Cowherd, who I know the name in and of itself becomes very polarizing with people because they say he's a hot take artist.
He's a contrarian by convenience. That's what I used to say.
There's a lot of those allegations that go out there about the man.
He's evolved with a lot, evolved very respectfully as a take artist, in my own personal opinion.
Great, and he's one of the most talented people to ever do this. And when you get to be as big as he is, people tell you things. Like, whether we like them or not, and I happen to like him, and I happen to know him a little bit personally, but just take it from my experience with Nick, who obviously works with Colin at Fox Sports 1. The number of people that Nick knows and that Nick talks to and that reach out to Nick is crazy.
And these are active sports people and
active sports people,
people,
current athletes, executives, celebrities, because people love sports. And these are sports people on TV. So they know a lot of things. People are like, oh, they're just shooting from the hip. It's informed. It is an absolutely informed place if they're good at their job. And I happen to know that Colin is good at his job. Then you add in, he's a USC fan. He's a Lincoln Riley fan. He's been on the field for their games. He has been at times called a USC booster. Like, he is connected to that football program in a deep, deep, deep way. He's had Lincoln Riley on his show and in studio. He's had Caleb Williams on his show. So we were alerted that Colin today on his show said something about Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears. You haven't heard it. I haven't heard it. Tanny has. Let's hear it all together.
There are some, I will say this, because I'm kind of connected to this whole Caleb thing.
I know you're sitting on some stuff.
I am sitting on some stuff. I think there are some concerns in NFL circles that Dad has a little too much say in power. There's worry that they're not going to hire an agent. Now, Lamar Jackson didn't, and it was fine.
Was it?
Well, it wasn't perfect, but it worked. He got his paycheck. It's not ideal. You'd like to have a real agent. There's some concerns here that Dad's a little too involved. Now, dads are very, very involved in high school and college quarterbacking. So that's just part of the new world we live in. But I still contend, you're going to think I'm nuts here. I do think it's possible that Washington trades up and Chicago allows Washington to trade up, because Caleb and his group do not want to go to Chicago.
I don't want to live in this world of that being our next 3 months.
Now,
I don't want to do it.
Is he
That's
just
horrible.
Is he just trying for clicks, Danny, to try and make you feel better? Is it possible? You just gave a preamble as to why you might not be, but
I don't believe that he would do that,
because that's heavy stuff.
I don't believe that he would do that. Like, to me, like, trolling for clicks is everybody is picking one side. You make the case on the other so that you can stand out in the sea of this, so that if the upset happens, you can say I was right because there's no cost of being wrong.
That's the contrarian by convenience.
You know what I mean?
was referring to. Yes.
That is that part of it. This is like, I'm connected to this. I'm sitting on some stuff. His dad is involved. They haven't hired an agent. It's possible that does not strike me as contrarianism. But let's let him keep going here.
He's from the D.C. area. I think Dan Quinn is considered the big concern for Caleb Williams, and you have to admit this. Where you land matters. Chicago has never developed a star quarterback. And your first coach matters. You think Eberflus is going to be there 5 years?
Well,
no.
What if Washington hires Cliff Kingsbury? Is that attractive for Caleb Williams? Like, I don't know.
But I'm telling you, so if Caleb went to Washington, he knows for 4 years he's got the same staff overwhelmingly. Same head coach. Same system, mostly. Kingsbury, if he went there, keep your eye on that, would get paid a lot. He wouldn't go anywhere. Plus, Kingsbury would not leave Caleb Williams. If you go to Chicago, it's almost guaranteed that by the second year, you have a whole new system, whole new playbook, whole new staff. I think there's a power play potentially going to be made that Caleb's like, I'm not going there.
Yeah.
And Washington moves up. By the way, they could give Chicago draft capital and some players. They've got an interior D lineman, a receiver maybe they can move, and some draft capital. You just move it up one spot. So I just think there's a lot of things people around Caleb are sitting on. I think he's going to be phenomenal. I like him a lot. I've met his dad. But there are people that are concerned. Now, sometimes these teams are concerned about stuff because it's not going their way.
Yeah.
You know, and I know this. Like, corporations, they want to control stuff.
Yes.
And with Caleb, you're not going to control everything.
No.
John Elway, Eli Manning, their dads played a big factor in it. John's like, I'm not going there. And Eli's like, Archie's like, nope, we're not going to the Chargers.
Man, just to complete that history lesson while everybody processes, Archie Manning had talked to the father of Ryan Leaf before the draft about the Chargers' handling of Ryan Leaf, and he heard the Chargers didn't help Ryan Leaf with personal issues, and that was part of why Archie said, we don't want to go there. And so they didn't go there. And just to remind you, the Chargers got Phillip Rivers, a third-round pick, which ended up being a kicker in Nate Kading, and a 2005 first-round pick, which ended up being Sean Merriman, and another draft pick for trading down from 1 to 4 when they were forced to. So if this is where it's going, there's lots of precedent to still get a lot for the pick, if indeed it gets to that point.
I don't want to consider those hypotheticals right now, man, because the team that traded out of the rights to John Elway wasn't thrilled that they didn't get John Elway. And the same thing, I know the Chargers ended up getting Phillip Rivers.
That one worked.
And Phillip Rivers was very good. But Eli Manning was the one who won the Super Bowls.
Yeah, Chris Hinton was the offensive tackle, and quarterback Mark Herman, and then another first-round pick from the Colts that for John Elway. That was
Caleb and his group do not want to go to Chicago.
It would be a new level of pain because they evaluated and scouted Trubisky and Mahomes, and they made the wrong pick. But it was their pick to make. It would be a new level of pain if you execute one of the great NFL trades of the last 20 years that Ryan Poles did with Carolina. It becomes the number 1 pick in a draft in a transcendent quarterback draft. Then the transcendent quarterback who you had an opportunity to fire your coaching staff, to clear out, to hire an attractive guy if Cowherd's speculation about Dan Quinn and continuity is correct. Maybe that's part of it. Or maybe it's, hey, Washington, his hometown, he wants to go to D.C., nothing you could do. And he power plays out of Chicago to go to D.C., and then you have the second pick in the draft, and Drake May ends up being significantly worse than Caleb Williams, or he ends up being a bust, and Caleb Williams goes on to stardom. How do you even begin to cope with overcoming that if you're a Bears fan, if that happens?
Well,
and again, there's a lot of qualifiers and ifs in there. I went back and looked at Caleb Williams' Instagram post when he declared for the draft because I thought I remembered him saying that he's looking forward to going to whoever drafts him. He actually didn't say that. Ian Rappaport said it in a tweet, but that was not.
He said that he heard that from Caleb's camp.
He included, I'm trying to find the exact thing. He was saying that Caleb looks forward to going to whoever drafts him. Was how I remember Rappaport's
I remember him
reporting
adding
at the
that
time.
context. I don't remember if he sourced that.
I don't believe that he did. Can we try to call Ian Rappaport on the fly, Shane? Can we try to call him, please? Thank you.
You know, Colin Cowherd did not really give you a ton about the Bears there. He said the Bears have never developed a quarterback, but he gave you a lot about Caleb and gave you a lot about his dad, and that's where the connections are. Now, this has been smoke for a long time. An old GQ article, an off-the-cuff quote from his dad, things like that.
Saying that he could go back to college if he didn't like the situation where he was drafted.
Right.
We knew that we were getting an empowered athlete with an involved dad.
But now his hometown team of Washington has brand new ownership with loads of money and a clean slate with a new respected veteran coach. Not an offensive coach or anything like that, but certainly an offensive coordinator opening that could go to Cliff Kingsbury, as Cowherd describes. That would be a pretty damn cushy situation to get to at pick number 2.
You mean cushy for the Bears?
No, for Caleb.
Yeah.
I mean, it's remarkably comfortable and cushy and sort of dreamlike. You could see him desiring that in a system that you yourself know and have advocated for before is unjust for some collegiate players.
Of course.
This is an empowered young man who might be trying to write his own ticket.
Listen, I'm arguing this from a selfish standpoint.
I know.
I'm not saying that Caleb... Listen, Caleb has that power. If he makes it clear to the Bears, I will not go there, then he won't go here. I'm saying that would suck. That would be a new level of pain that we would be dealing with as a fan base. And I know that a lot of people don't want Caleb, and I know a lot of people want Justin, and a lot of people would say good riddance. And, hey, I'd be forced to talk myself into Drake May. But they won't draft him if he doesn't want to be here. Because you don't want the surly, disinterested franchise. He's got to come into Justin Fields' locker room and lead it.
You'll do what the Colts did with Elway, and you'll do what the Chargers did with Eli.
And make the best of a bad situation and have not a lot of leverage because he will be dictating where he wants to go, so you'll only be able to negotiate with one team.
What's interesting...
It's a disaster.
Well, what's interesting is that you wonder then if it changes the calculus on whether you stay with Justin. Because that is a difference that the Chargers didn't have, that the Colts didn't have, as a viable quarterback at the time. So you trade down to 2 because that's the demand, and then you could trade down from 2 again to whichever team wants Drake May. You could execute the double trade down, the trade back, and completely load up on assets. Or, of course, you could trade down to 2, take whichever quarterback you want at 2, and trade Justin and do all of that.
I'm texting Cowherd right now. I'm texting him right now.
Could you say it out loud where you're texting, as long as you're doing that?
Is Caleb really not going to come to the Bears? I need to know.
He's sitting on some stuff, according to Jason McIntyre.
That's Tanny's guy, yeah.
Yeah, Tanny loves that guy.
Caleb and his group do not want to go to Chicago.
Oh, my God.
I think someone told Caleb's dad, Carl, to shut the hell up. He's not responding to text messages or phone calls now.
Yeah, well, this is quite a moment for them.
Horrible. Oh, you're talking about for them.
Yeah. Well, it's all of it. It's all happening right now at the same time. I got to say, it'd be a pretty quick pivot for me. If indeed this is the case, it'd be a pretty quick pivot to, all right, screw that guy. Okay, screw that guy. Let's move on. What's the best thing you can do now?
Jaden Daniels.
Probably something like that. Then go ahead and find your quarterback. And maybe you don't have to do it at 2, so maybe you can do the double trade down or whatever. Or maybe you can say, you know what, Washington, we're going to give this to somebody else.
But I just don't understand, why would the Commanders give away one of their only assets they have to make Caleb Williams better in Terry McLaurin? Why would they package that in a trade? That doesn't make sense either. I'm also thinking about Justin Fields with Terry McLaurin and DJ Moore. Makes me feel a little differently about going into the season now.
I hear you. But they've got interior defensive linemen. Go ahead and get, who's it, Jonathan Allen? Who's there? Yeah, go ahead and get one of those guys.
They're not doing that to move up one spot.
Oh, I just told you what the Chargers got. What the Chargers got, and they got a ton.
Didn't Terry McLaurin just get a new deal, too?
The Bears had to give up a couple of, mid-round picks to move up from 3 to 2?
Yeah, for Trubisky. From 2 to 1.
Yeah, but look how dumb he was.
Moving up one spot.
Excuse me, from 3 to 2 for Mitch, who was not anybody. It's not the value of this pick is such that you extract what you can.
No, yeah, but you're not getting a guy who would be traded for. If they traded Jonathan Allen tomorrow, they'd get a first-round pick. They would not have to give up a first-round pick to move up from 2 to 1. You would not get Jonathan Allen if you're trading down with the Commanders.
You don't think they'd have to give up the value of a first-round pick to trade from 2 to 1 for Caleb Williams value of Caleb as a pick? We've all talked about.
Not if Caleb Williams says, I won't go to Chicago, I'll only go to Washington, trade me here, or I won't play for you. You lose all your leverage because you can't put Washington against Atlanta and Vegas and New England and those other. You you get cut out at the knees if that happens. Read the. Do you have the Barnwell piece up? I can pull it up.
I've got it.
He does it. He does.
Which chapter?
Hey, dude, it's so long. He does the hypothetical trade of from 1 to 2 for Washington. There, it's not for future first round picks. I don't remember what it is off the top of my head. It's 30,000 words, but it's in there. It's not for a first round pick. It would just listen. The crazy thing about this is that if Caleb wants to go to DC, he'll be able to get himself to DC. But the argument of going to DC is going to be a personal one. It's going to be I want to play at home.
Of course.
It's
and he'll try and he'll shroud it in that to come off less like a prima donna.
And I think, but also, man, like I don't know Carl Williams or anything like that. The Bears situation. They won 7 games. Washington earned the second pick in the draft. The Bears won 7 games.
Right, but it's if he wants to go play at home, and that's what he's forcing.
And all that pressure now that the Commanders will feel from their fan base, now that this is out there in the public space, like, oh, you got to bring the hometown kid home. We don't care what it takes. Just give it up, whatever you got to give up to get him.
It would be a fascinating exercise in leverage because, yes, the Bears would have to trade there, but they still would have the right in full. And Ryan Poles would have to play some serious, interesting leverage games. Here's what Bill Barnwell at ESPN wrote about a possible trade down to the Commanders at number 2 in his exhaustive Caleb Williams, Justin Fields piece from today. This is before this bit of news came out.
And this is with the assumption that they could trade to anybody that they wanted.
Right.
And chose to trade to Washington, not in a scenario where Caleb has them over a barrel.
He says, this would only make sense if the Bears were going to make a second trade with the number 2 pick and felt like they could bluff the Commanders into paying an extra premium to move up 1 spot. I don't think that's likely, and dealing the top pick would be more valuable than the combination of moving down a spot and then trading out of the second selection. At best, Chicago could get back the second rounder it sent to Washington in the Montez Sweat deal. He has number 1 to Washington for the number 2 pick, the number 40 pick, and number 163.
Yeah,
and
so you're
that would not feel like enough.
No! Are you kidding? To miss out on Caleb Williams?
So if I'm Ryan Poles, middle finger to everybody here, I'm trading down even further. Trade with the Patriots.
Yeah, screw them.
Yeah.
Right?
Like that way no one gets what they want except the Chicago Bears, and that's all I care about if I'm Ryan Poles.
But no one is trading up to 1.
If they know he only wants to go to Washington.
Because they would have the same problem.
These guys are stubborn, man. Oh, we'll talk him into our building. We felt good about our interactions with them at the Combine.
No one would
you know
do
how
that
goes.
No one would do that. No, like if Colin is right, and he does a whole segment on like when Colin was right, when Colin was wrong. Like he obviously you put a lot out there.
Did he text you back? Go ahead.
Let me see. No, he is not.
Here's a texter. I don't know
Carl
about.
has.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah.
What do we got from Carl?
Just wait.
What do you mean?
Just wait. Wait.
How long do I have to wait?
I'm talking to him right now. Just wait.
All right,
wait.
good.
Wait.
Shane is in
Danny.
contact.
Relax over there, brother.
Danny looks like he hasn't slept in weeks.
He's not. He looks like he did when he was hungover at Circa.
Dude,
this is what he looks.
Caleb's dad is texting me back, so if I can go with this, then we'll talk. If not, just hang tight.
This text to the show, I don't know about anyone else, but I'm absolutely here for Danny being stressed about Caleb not wanting to come here.
You know
Sounds like Tanny is too.
Come on, Spees, you too.
As I said, it's a pretty. No, I like our guy. I don't want him to do
That's
this.
not what I'm saying.
Oh yeah,
but we don't know. We don't even know
entertaining.
if this is the guy yet, Caleb.
It's a quick pivot for me to say screw you. It really is, because if that's what you're going to do and try to do that, like. I care more about what is going to happen to the Bears than I do about the empowerment of young athletes in general. And I think Drake May is a really interesting prospect. And I'll do work on everybody else, and I'll figure out exactly what we like and what we can do.
Of course, though. But that is not like
it's called coping, Danny.
Yeah, but that's not right. But that's what happens after this happens. Not, you know what I mean? Like, of course, you have no choice but to get there because the world moves on and the Bears will do something at quarterback and all of that. But Caleb Williams, he is a better prospect than those guys. He might not end up better, but like, if the Bears get the number 1 pick in a year where they need a quarterback, and they are then not allowed to draft the best quarterback, that is, no matter what they get, maybe it ends up working out, but that is another significant chapter in the long history of quarterback futility for this franchise.
Oh, yeah. It'd be a legendary ad to a franchise defined by quarterback starvation.
So you're like, I would pivot quickly. That is like that is
I'm just living my life out here.
Good for you, but I'm saying that is a huge
it's a big pivot.
That is a huge gut punch. That is a huge kick in the junk of like it. Yes, we'd have to get there, but that not even being allowed to take him because he doesn't want to come here it'd be devastating. It'd be devastating. I assume we can't share, right?
Mr. Williams has been suffocated.
Okay.
So I texted him the clip from Cowherd and said, "Hey, just brother, come on, let's talk about this for a second, like you and I. Let's have a conversation."
Oh, is what you're sharing right now?
It's fine. Yeah, it's fine.
Are you sure?
Fine. Yeah, it's fine. It's whatever.
Well, because Caleb is going to be a Bear. I'm not giving up on this.
Right. But
no, that's the moment right there, Speaks.
Oh, yeah,
that's our moment.
That's why I pivoted, Tanny.
I'm not giving up.
It happened.
I'm just saying.
There.
Don't nuke the relationship by sharing something you're not supposed to because
I'm not nuking it.
Caleb will be a Bear.
I'm not going to share specifics. Mr. Williams is texting me back. We are mid-conversation, but it's like we haven't made any official comment. Anything from here on out is going to come through our PR staff, our PR firm, which is not the case 3 months ago when that guy was saying anything to me.
Okay, so who's the PR
So
person?
that sounds like equivocating to cover up the truth that Colin just believed.
Danny, I'm not going to say who the PR person is. Like I'm going to keep that to myself.
We have it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. Well, let's call that.
Yeah. This is crack, dude. This is stupid.
No, I'm not handling this well.
No, you're not.
You know what? It's a good thing, though, because I don't think he's that good anyway.
Oh, stop. I don't agree with that. Stop. I don't agree with that. But, I mean...
none of us here know, by the way.
Of course
I want
not.
to be very, very
Nobody
clear
knows.
with that.
I tell you what.
So why are we, like, so foot in the ground, no matter what, Caleb Williams is the guy. No one else can have any other opinion.
No, you're
You
allowed
can
to
have any
other
opinion
opinions.
you want. You just said he's not good.
He is. He's not.
That is an opinion.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Okay.
That's my opinion. He's not good.
But you're texting his dad right now?
Yeah. Well, me and Carl have a different relationship.
Okay. All right. Just
Shane, my pivot to screw that guy would very much include I hope he fails. Absolutely. And there are signs
he's going to be a Bear.
to indicate the possibility. Danny's there.
It's like if
Not
you're
if it counts as a mush if he does it after this.
if you're in my school of thought where it's like Danny saying this, I never thought he would be good as a Bear anyway because Danny's so high on Caleb. I was like, oh, I've already conceded the fact that he's not going to be any good as a Bear.
Yep.
So the fact that he's just not going to be here at all makes it a little cleaner, to be honest
Man,
with you.
He's going to be here. Stop.
The way that Cowherd just described like the coaching timeline and the mess that is the Bears as related to Washington.
That's the other thing.
Burnsy's going to like take a victory lap all around the place.
Me too. If that comes out, listen. If he says I want to go home and play in DC, but if it comes out and says like I wasn't comfortable with their coaching staff and situation, I mean the meltdown that it will just be a question of who gets to the mic first, me or Bernstein. Like that would be insane. If retaining Eberflus cost you Caleb Williams, I'll never forgive Eberflus.
Well, it would be interesting because we know how a ton of current players and former players feel about Justin Fields, that he was done wrong or has been mishandled, and it's a tale as old as quarterback NFL time. So if Caleb feels that from his contacts and his relationships or talking to Justin, yeah, that would be a lot to have to deal with.
Do you guys have